Women used to actually care about their reputation. Back in the day, and this was a long time ago, admittedly, we've been on this current trajectory for a long time now. But back in the day, it used to be a thing where women guarded their reputation. Women protected their reputation with their life. And specifically, if you're not picking up on what I'm trying to say right now, women used to not want people to know that they're sleeping around. And one of the ways, frankly, the best way, the best method for a woman to effectively guard her reputation would be to actually just not sleep around, not just S on every D that comes her way. Ladies, you should care about your reputation, okay? Don't just be going around stapling Chad's documents every which way, just stapling every document you see. And when I talk about stapling documents, I'm talking about S-ing a D. Staple a document, S a D. These women out here these days, they don't even care anymore. They just staple documents, they S on documents, they S on D. I don't know how else I can say it, but I think the main point I'm trying to make here, it's really a shame how in past generations, I think that there was just more social shaming going on in society in general. And people, for the most part, prior to the advent of the internet and prior to social media, really, because it wasn't like the internet was invented and then all of a sudden all women are sex work positive, body positive. How dare you slut shame me? How dare you slut shame me? I'll staple any documents I want, however often I want. It wasn't like it happened immediately. But by now, it's been a long time coming. But I think in the past, before the internet fucked everything up, it used to be the case where your social circle was limited to your immediate area. Yes, people had cars, and we've had a highway system for a long time. So, yes, you could technically participate in different activities or social groups or clubs or whatever in a fairly large radius around where you live. But for the most part, historically, people's social circles have been limited to their immediate area, roughly to like a 10 to 20 mile radius around where you physically live. So social shaming was a big thing back then. And by the way, social shaming was a good thing, is a good thing, would be a good thing to bring back big time. We need to big time bring shaming back to the forefront of society. People out here these days, especially these, I don't like to use words like this, but these floozies out here these days, they need to feel a little bit more shame. Okay? They need to feel a little bit more shame, and they really need to start caring more about their reputations. And they need to stop sleeping around and stapling documents left and right like it's like every bitch these days thinks she's a fucking swing line. That's a popular brand of stapler, but I'm maybe taking the staple the documents thing too far. I think, the joke's done. I'll probably stop saying that at this point. But back in the day, if a woman were to cheat on her man, or just if a woman got around too much, if she stapled Tom's documents on Wednesday and then on Friday she was stapling Timothy's documents, then the whole town would know about it. It would get around. None of the men would want anything to do with her anymore. And it was other women really that really got in on the shaming because, that's their direct competition. But nowadays, it's like your social circle, especially for women, and their dating pool is expanded thanks to online dating and just social media in general. So women feel, rather than shaming each other, obviously that still goes on, but for the most part, rather than shaming each other, women have more unity together now, which is not a good thing. They should feel competitive with each other and they should be shaming each other, but they have no need to compete with each other. Not really. Now, in reality, they do choose to still try to compete with each other for the same small pool of the top 20% or 10% of the best looking men in the world. But there is less of a sense of competition now that, and things have been like this for women that lived in highly populated societies. Like, women that lived in New York City or Chicago or, I don't know, freaking Manila or something, I guess, probably. It's probably been like this for 200 years. But nowadays, it's like every single woman in the world, as long as she has a smartphone and access to Wi-Fi, then she basically has the same options as a woman living in one of the biggest cities in the world. Because that's what the internet is. It's basically the biggest megalopolis that's ever existed on this planet. So women don't have to be as competitive anymore because each and every one of them, even if they're as ugly as a dog on the inside and out, they still have essentially infinite options when it comes to men that will just simp for them and finance their entire lifestyle and, just give them everything a person needs to survive. Just completely provide for them. And, really, a whole lot of women, and this goes back to, all throughout history, women are the original NEETs. Women, it's normal for women to live the neat lifestyle. But that's a topic for another video. I actually, I just thought of that right now. That sounds like a great video topic. Women are neats. Okay, but we'll get into that later. But it's just like, these days, women don't shame each other as much. Women support each other. And on an interpersonal level, I think women do shame each other a lot, but that doesn't really matter because on a more broad general level, any woman can just get on social media today and, make some post on Instagram like, I can sleep with whoever I want. Nobody has any right to tell me what I do or don't do with my body, yada, yada, and she'll just get thousands upon thousands of comments from simps and women alike, all just being like, you go girl, you're darn right, you're darn tootin', you're just darn tootin', that is darn right. And there's just so much, it's gotten to the point, this is how backwards our modern society is, our gynocentric, fucked up, feminized society. It's gotten to the point that some women actually feel pride in their ability to sleep around. They act like it's some kind of accomplishment, like, oh, I've already had relations with 150 different guys and I'm only 19 years old. That's because I'm hot. That's because I'm hot. I'm cool. I'm hot. All the guys want to bang me. And it's just like, yeah, duh. Yeah, of course. There's nothing there. You haven't accomplished anything. If you're just a woman existing in this world, you can be ugly as a dog. You can have the face of a chihuahua and the personality of a fucking snickerdoodle. whatever, some kind of dog. And a woman could literally act like a dog, look like a dog, talk like a dog, and smell like a dog, a wet dog. And she could easily staple documents left and right. She can staple as much documents as she wants because all these dudes are going to be coming at her, approaching her, just like, I got some documents for you. You got some staples? I got some documents. And again, I'm sorry about the stapling documents metaphor. If any of you are still confused about that, I'm talking about a woman, acting like a vacuum cleaner on a man's hot dog. You know what I'm saying? If that's a little bit more clear for you. I hate censorship. But anyways, there's not enough shame in this society. Women need to protect their reputation. It's crazy. Like, they're proud of it. They're proud of it. They do this thing called a slut walk, which is literally what it sounds like. It's a bunch of women that basically take all their clothes off and they just go parade down the street. And supposedly, I think it has something to do with women's liberation, and I think it's supposed to be like a feminist message. I don't know. But it's just a bunch of floozies walking around half naked, or maybe even fully naked sometimes, as if that's some kind of message of female empowerment. Well, I'm here to tell you, all of you nice ladies that go on your slut walk, and by the way, hey, YouTube AI censorship, you better not knock me on that, okay? Don't demonetize me. Don't age restrict me. I'm not calling them that. I'm not calling them the SLUT word. They call themselves that. They're proud of it. They call themselves that. They're using it as a term of endearment for themselves. Now, me, if I was going to use that word to describe a woman, which I think we, just as a society, I think more and more of us should be using that word more and more to describe some of these women out here today in these streets. If I were to do that, I would mean it in a negative way. Because listen, ladies, some of you, not all of you, I would never paint such broad strokes like that. So not all of you. Some of you really ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Living a lifestyle of just stapling one man's documents on Monday, stapling another man's documents on Tuesday. By the time Sunday's rolled around, you've got a whole stack of documents. You're up to your painted on eyebrows in documents. And some of those documents had diseases. And you probably didn't even make sure that all of those documents were laminated before you stuck them inside your body. I bet you didn't even make sure they were all laminated, if you know what I'm saying. Okay? And that is disgusting. That is gross. And spiritually, if you live your life like that, you are a grotesque creature. You're still a human being, of course. You're just one that ought to be ashamed of your damn self. And you're gross and disgusting. Okay? Over the course of a woman's lifetime, the stack of documents that you have stapled should be 1 page. Okay? Ideally, it should be 1 page. That's what's the best for you, ladies. That's what the men in your life would want. Think about your own dad. Okay? I know, hey, ladies, I know a lot of you you don't really care about your dad and you don't respect him. But for those of you that do, and you still walk around going to these floozy parades, using your own naked body as a parade float, and you feel no shame about it, think about what your father would think. Seriously, do that. Think about what your father would think if he saw how tall the stack of documents that you have stapled that weren't even laminated. And some of those documents, you just swallowed the splooge. You just swallowed it. I know you did. I know you did. And you're not even ashamed of it. Y'all are proud of it. You should be ashamed. You should care about your reputation because it matters, okay? It does matter. And you know it. You know it too. But there's such an effort by certain groups in our society to just brainwash the youth. And I'm not a conspiracy cell. I'm not one of these conspiracy theorist guys. Although I respect the conspiracy cells. I'll just say that. I respect all the conspiracy cells because, really, even when they're wrong, they're still right, morally. But that's a topic for another video. But I'm just saying, I generally don't believe in most conspiracy theories I hear. And what I'm about to say might sound a bit conspiratorial, but it does really kind of seem like there is maybe a concerted, intentional effort coming from certain groups. I honestly don't know who, but people that have power in the media. And I'm actually, I don't believe in these theories about, people that start with the letter J. I actually don't believe in that. So I don't know who it is, but there are people in charge of the media apparatus that seem to strongly promote the idea, aka brainwashing the youth with the idea that, ladies, sex work is positive. Sex work is work. Sex work is hard work. And you should not feel ashamed. Be liberated. What could be more liberating than letting the whole football team run a train on you? What could be more liberating than that? Just go out and let every Tom, Dick, and Harry use your body for their own pleasure and just use you like a fleshlight. What could be more liberating than that? Young women of the world, pay attention to the music you listen to coming from the likes of Sabrina Carpenter and Ariana Grande and all these I might censor that because I don't like to use that word. They use it for themselves. They call themselves that. So it should be fine for me to say it, but I don't know that the artificial intelligence censorship bots on YouTube would see it that way. They tend to target people like me that do what? Yeah, speak truth to power. Because that's what I'm all about here on this channel. And I'm not the only one. There's others out there, and I see y'all, okay? And a lot of people see y'all, but not enough because they suppress us in the algorithm. But that's not what this video is about. Women used to feel shame, and they used to shame each other. But that's pretty much over with these days because, and I really do believe this, modern women, not all of them, but a whole lot, a very large proportion of modern women essentially for all intents and purposes, they are members of a cult. And that's not a joke. I'm not joking. I honestly do believe that women are in a cult. Okay? And they may not intentionally be participating in a cult. You know, they're not thinking of it like, haha, we're in the cult. We're in the cult of the woman, the cult of the modern woman. But they are. And, you know, by any sensible definition of the word cult, modern women are members of a cult. They're in a cult. And I'm not going to say any more about that right now. That's a topic for another video. But ladies, have some self-respect. Feel shame. Feel shame. I would. I do every goddamn day of my life. When I look in the mirror, I feel a whole lot of shame. When I go outside into the world, when I'm just sitting here alone in my chair, thinking thoughts to myself, I feel shame for my own thoughts. And you should feel shames for your actions. Your actions. When you cheat on your boyfriend, when you staple 11 freaking documents in a single week, and it doesn't have to be that many, you should feel shame. You should feel a lot of shame if you've slept with, I don't know, any man at all without being in a long-term relationship. Then you should feel ashamed of yourself. That's gross. That's gross. It's bad for society. Okay? What are you doing? What are you doing? Think critically about things. You're just listening to Ariana Grande singing her song like, oh, I'm riding dick on Thursday, I'm riding another dick on Friday, ooh, whatever the hell she's singing about. You know, I joke, but that's probably really not that far off from what her actual lyrics are. And this is what, maybe I'm a little off topic here, but you know, these pop stars out here like Ariana Grande, Sabrina Carpenter, whoever else, they do live concerts. So they are well aware that their primary audience is adolescent girls. It's like 12-year-old girls. That's who's listening to this music. And yet, you can look it up. Look up the lyrics to their music. The words that they are saying, they're brainwashing the youth. They are brainwashing the youth. So whatever you think about the current situation that we are in as a society with our gender dynamics and sex positivity and sex work is work, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Because children, the youth of today, what they are hearing uncensored in their popular... Because here's the other thing too. There's always been sexual, immoral, degenerate lyrics in pop music, or there has been for a long time now. But when I was a kid, you know, growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, we listened to the radio. We listened to music on FM radio. And that was censored. It was very censored. But nowadays, the kids these days aren't listening to censored music. They're not listening to FM radio. They probably don't even know what radio is. They listen to uncensored music on Spotify or YouTube Music or whatever it is they listen to it on, and it's uncensored, okay? So all these like 12-year-old girls coming up today, they're listening to uncensored Sabrina Carpenter music that's just, you know, just talking about, if I may use my metaphor again, just stapling documents so much until you can't even, you know, you got a sore throat. And that's what kids are listening to. And I just want to shift topic slightly right now because this whole notion of Sex work is work. Sex work is work. That's real work. That's hard work. It is to be respected. Listen to what I'm saying right now. Because I'm about to say what I'm saying right now. This is 100% true, undeniable. No one's going to disagree with this statement. But it's just so absurd on its face. It's just, how have we got to this point? Okay? How have we got to this point? So here it is. Women used to feel shame. Women used to care about their reputation. But nowadays, what you hear from the median woman in society is sex work is work. That's hard work. And we should not only should we not shame women for their behaviors, we should have the utmost respect for literal prostitutes. Is this real? Sometimes I wonder, is this a dream right now? Am I gonna suddenly wake up from this nightmare and I'm gonna wake up and it's gonna be 1998 again and I'm gonna be listening to the FM radio, listening to pop music where people are actually playing a physical instrument, singing lyrics that may be about sex, but they use lyrics in a way to allude to it rather than just outright saying it. Ariana Grande, Sabrina Carpenter out here just like singing music like, and then his hot dog went inside me and it burst open with the marshmallow liquid or whatever, Even that, what I just said, no lie, for sure, that is much more tame than a common pop song that you would hear today on your Spotify algorithm or whatever it is. I don't use that trash because I don't even bother listening to music really, but that's just me. I like music. Music's cool. But women will say at the same time, they'll say, sex work is work. That's hard work. That is to be respected. And then they'll just spit on a man that works construction. A man will be like a bricklayer or something, severely underpaid, working manual labor, 10 hours a day in the hot sun. And a woman will say, what a freaking loser. What a loser. They don't respect the man that's working his butt off, doing blue-collar hard labor, but some random floozy with no discernible skills whatsoever, taking honestly low-quality, tasteless photographs of her areolas out on display, not even bothering to have good lighting or anything. They say, I respect that. I respect that she's taking the means of production into her own hands. She's taking the means of production into her own hands and making her own money. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Right on, sister. Yeah, she's taking the means of production into her own hands. Producing a bunch of freaking simps. Producing a degenerate society, making the world a hell of a lot worse off for every single living creature in this world. Women, the ladies, listen. The lack of shame that you insist on experiencing these days, and the lack of shame that you spread around, because it's not only that you're not getting shamed, you also aren't shaming each other as much as you should be. Okay? And this isn't just about women. Everybody should be feeling more shame. If everybody in this world felt as much shame as I do, we would be like, you know, flying cars, total utopia. But that's not how it is. Nobody feels shame, okay? And yeah, what I was going to say, ladies, listen, if you would just feel a little more shame, spread a little more shame around, it affects every living creature on this planet, okay? Not even just humans. You're making the world a worse place for, well, I was going to say like for fungus and stuff, but then again, the way y'all are living your lives these days, fungus is doing all right. I think fungus is the one living organism that's doing just fine these days. Because you're making your own body the perfect breeding ground for that. But listen, ladies, feel shame. Feel shame. Start caring about your reputation again. It does matter. You think it doesn't matter because all your girlfriends and your sisters, you all have unity together. You're all leaving each other nice, pleasant comments on social media about how, you go girl, your areolas are looking really great in this photo on public Facebook that your grandmother and grandfather can see, as well as the rest of the world. Looking great. The outline of your nipple piercing is looking great through your very, very extremely thin shirt that you've posted publicly on your Facebook page that your grandmother frequently looks at. Good on you. Good on you. Way to go, girl. And you're leaving each other these comments and you're acting like this is all normal and this is all okay, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Who cares about your reputation? And even if you did, it's something to be proud of. That's what you tell each other. But you know who does care? Your grandmother. You know who else cares? Every single man on the planet. Okay? Every single man on the planet knows you're a floozy, and I guess it doesn't really matter because they're all simps, so they settle for you. And I am part of the problem too. I do feel a lot of shame with thoughts that I have and certain materials, images, audio visual stimuli that I have chosen willingly to consume, and still to this day, too often choose to consume. Because it's hard. Okay, it's hard. But I do feel shame about it, and I'm making a concerted effort in my life to feel more shame and to try to not dismiss that shame and try to not trick myself mentally into thinking that I shouldn't feel that shame. Because I could. And I should. We should all feel a little more shame in our lives. Especially some of you ladies out there. And I hope you're listening to this. I hope you're listening to this. You should be listening to more of this and less of Ariana Grande or whatever. Taylor Swift. And you know, I thought at least Taylor Swift, you know, she's hugely popular, and I thought she was maybe a little better, but I've never really listened to much of her music. But I did see like images, promotional images from her latest album, and you know, it's called like The Life of a Showgirl or something like that, something about showgirl. I'm not 100% sure what a showgirl is, but I'm pretty sure that's some kind of euphemism for a prostitute or some kind of like stripper or something. Okay? So, Swifties, Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift fans, Y'all should be ashamed of your damn selves right now. You should be ashamed, okay? And I say it, I said it all kind of fun. You should be ashamed of your damn self. I like to have fun when I make these videos, but you should actually be ashamed of yourself for consuming that type of material. Any mothers out here listening to this, you're mothers and you have a daughter or you have nieces or whatever. Don't let these girls be listening to this. Do not buy them the Taylor Swift album. Don't buy them the Sabrina Carpenter album. Okay? These pop stars are brainwashing the youth. And they're brainwashing them, telling them to not feel shame. They want them to be proud of being degenerates. And I know a lot of people like to talk about the slippery slope form of argument is fallacious. Well, it's not, and this is a slippery slope. Okay? This is a slippery slope. We are about 6 to 7 years away from women just actually having intimate relations with dogs and not even being ashamed of it. Okay? That's not a joke. That's not a joke. 6 to 7, this is an official loser maxing prediction. Let's give myself some breathing room, within 9 years from now, mark that on your calendar, within 9 years from now, it will be commonplace. There will be subreddits about it. There will be communities. They'll be talking about it on TikTok, whatever. They'll probably have a new thing by then. It will be commonplace for these fat floozies out here what they'll do is they'll adopt a pit bull. He's an adorable pit bull. I love my pit bull. They'll adopt a toddler eater. They'll sell special collars where they basically attach their smartphone, or they'll have some kind of muzzle where every time the dog barks, it translates what it says into, it makes it say some, I don't know. They're gonna in some way, they're gonna combine intimate relations with a canine. They're gonna combine that with the whole artificial intelligence AI boyfriend trend, and that's gonna be combined. And women are just gonna be like, I don't need a man because I have an artificially intelligent dog that red rockets me whenever I need it. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed of that. In fact, I'm going to take pictures of it and I'm going to charge people money to look at it. I'm going to take pictures of myself licking a dog, licking my dog. We don't need to say where. I'm going to take pictures of it and I'm going to charge you money to look at it. And women are going to be proud of that. And by then, maybe not 9 years from now when this really takes off, but maybe 11, 13 years from now, Taylor Swift, when she's giving her State of the Union address with Vice President AOC right there beside her, and she's going to be talking about, never let a man make you feel ashamed. Never let a man make you feel ashamed for coughing up a fur ball after you licked all over your pit bull. Never let a man make you feel ashamed for dating AI that's just a smartphone strapped to a collar around a German Shepherd. Never let a man make you feel ashamed for making your living by taking pictures of you naked next to your golden doodle. Never let a man make you feel ashamed of yourself. Be proud of it. Be proud of it. Be proud to get humped by a dog. Basically, that's what's gonna... Now, folks, I exaggerate a little bit, but ladies, you need to feel shame. You need to care about your reputation. You need to protect your reputation, okay? Okay? It's not cool to sleep around. It's not cool to let every man you come across that you think is good looking It's not cool to let all these guys dingle your dongle. I don't know. I can't think of a good euphemism right now. I'm running out. I'm running out of steam here. But I do want to make this point clear, okay? Ladies, guard your reputation. Start caring about your reputation again, okay? Stop being floozies. Stop it. Stop doing that. It's gross. It's disgusting. Spiritually, mentally, and physically, it is quite gross, okay? That's why I say fungus is doing well these days, okay? Because you're not even making all these very attractive men that you love to let fill up on you all the time. You're not even making them laminate their documents before you staple them. How are you living like this? And you have no shame? You don't even feel shame about it. It's disgusting. It's incomprehensible. You're part of a cult, okay? And I'm making a video just about that topic. So that's something you're gonna know about soon enough. Subscribe for more. You should be ashamed of yourself. Your reputation does matter, okay? If you want to, but that's the thing, I was going to talk about, if you want to someday start a family and raise kids and have a positive impact on society, but who cares? That's not an incentive for these modern women. That's no incentive at all. They don't care. They don't have shame. And in fact, all of the things that a woman should feel ashamed of, they actually feel proud about it these days. That's where we're at right now in society. Take me back. Take me back. If this is the timeline I'm born in, and this is actually real, take me back. Somebody tell me, is there some kind of incantation? Is there some kind of series of words I can say that will work like, the freaking wizard spell, freaking magic to take me back? This isn't good. Ladies, feel more shame, okay? Now, I'll say this. I will now, in my life, I'm making a concerted effort to feel more personal shame about the thoughts that I have, the things that I say, and my actions. I will feel more shame, and I will let myself feel that shame, and I won't try to hide from it. Okay? Now, ladies, y'all need to be doing that too. And it's not just about letting yourself feel shame. That's a good start. That's a very good start. But you also should be shaming other, if some of your friends or whatever, and they go around, and they're doing things with a lot of different guys, doing a lot of different things with a lot of different guys. Call them out. Call them out. Make them feel ashamed of it. Make them feel ashamed. It's gross. It's disgusting. Okay? You should care more about humanity than you do about fungus. Because with the way y'all act and the things that you are proud of, you're making the world a better place for fungal colonies, and you're making it a much worse place for humankind. But I guess, if you're a dog person and you really like dogs, I guess with the way things are headed about, 9 years from now, things are getting a lot better for dogs. A whole lot better, I guess. I mean, actually not, because most of y'all are disgusting. Physically, you're disgusting, so even your freaking dog, you're going to have to use peanut butter to make your dog want to even do that. This is degenerate. It's disgusting. It's degenerate, first of all. Second of all, it's disgusting. Feel more shame. Care about your reputation. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching. Oh, I'm riding dick on Thursday. I'm riding another dick on Friday. Ooh.